Hey guys, it's Tony with CCxRC. We're here at my RC Workbench, and I'm really excited because I've got my Losi Ten SCTE. It's the RCR back up and running again, but I've added a few modifications. I've also got a few upgrades on the RC10B4.2, and tomorrow's my son's 6th birthday, and I got him the Losi Mini Desert Truck. We gave it to him today because we had a little bit of a party, and so I'm going to show you what we got going on here. Alright, so let's take a look at the Losi 10, and I'm going to take off the lid and show you what I've got going on here. So, I've redone all the differentials. It had stock grease in all of the diffs. So I had to rip off the whole back end to get at the diffs, which are back here. We've got an easy one to access in the center, and the front diff is, again, this one's probably the hardest one to get at up here. While I had the truck apart, I bent the rear shock tower, so I replaced it with one of these STRC shock towers. I went with the red just to, make it stand out a little bit, kind of show that it's been upgraded. Same thing on the front, but I've also added these STRC chassis braces in here on the front and the rear, so I've got aluminum there now. Other than that, everything is pretty much stock on this truck, with the exception being that I put in a servo servers, the SC1258TG. The original one that came stock burned up on this truck. It actually has the Dynamite Fuse ESC, which now I think comes stock on the Losi RTR. But when I got it, it had a different ESC, and that just kind of freaked out and malfunctioned probably 2 weeks into having the truck. So they sent me this one, and so I've been running it since then. Other than that, stock gearing. I did put on some AKA tires. But other than that, everything's stock. Original bumpers, original shocks, original front bumper. As you can see, I've got a little crack here. Nothing that I'm going to replace at this point because it still is very functional. But other than that, this is a really tough truck, and I really enjoy driving it. So I had it out today, and it was really fast. Alright, so here's the RC10B4.2. I've taken it all apart because I washed it after riding out in the mud today, so all the body's drying off over there. Pretty much running everything stock here. I did earlier bust one of the rear A-arms, so I fixed that. One of the small modifications is I took off the antenna housing here, and the antenna, opened this up, and where the receiver is, and I wound up the cable inside of this casing here so to be shorter, and I cut off the housing so that now it sits below the rear fin, so that when I land on the lid I don't break this off anymore. And so I've had this like this for a couple weeks, and this is holding up great. My reception is still really good, and so that's just a small modification that I recommend to most people. I did totally snap my my front my front shock tower here. I just dropped it. I tried super gluing it for a little while because it was still kind of, the shock was holding it in place, and that got me through until my new piece came in the mail. And here's what's funny about this. I went with a purple front shock tower. See this? For no other reason that it was $6, and all of the other colors were running like $15 or $16. So it's like $10 cheaper to just get purple. And so I'm going to be running a purple front shock tower. It's aluminum on the RC10 here. So those are just the small upgrades that I've got going on for this. Just trying to keep this thing running as much stock as I can. Tires, these just don't grip at all. They're worth nothing on our indoor clay track. So I'm going to swap these out with something a little bit grippier. But then I got my son this Losi Mini Desert Truck. I've kind of fixed it up quite a bit since we got it, and it's running great. He had it out today and was having a blast. All right, go forward. There you go. You got it, buddy. Now you got how to control it. Nice moves. Those are the things that we got going on here at the workbench. It's finally getting cleared off. All the spare parts are gone from the differential. I do have a new axle here for the axial Yeti that I'll put on soon. I got this time a complete kit that I'm going to use for parts just because I want to have that. I had to buy the housing and I needed to get the axle anyway, and so I just went ahead and got one that had the whole thing put together. And I got it on eBay. Somebody had stripped it out of a new one, and so that'll go in the Yeti and get that up and running again here soon, and I'll be a little bit more careful on it. One of the things that I'm noticing with it is that, and let me just kind of pull this out here, the weak point on this for me is right where the rear trailing arm goes in. You can see you've got this long part of the axle here, and the trailing arms mount right here and here, and they've got these two bolts or screws that go right on through. And the problem is that this eats up a lot of the plastic here, so this becomes the break point every time. It cracks right across where these are and opens up. You can actually, I've lost one of the bolts because it just opens wide open at that point. And so I think it's because I went with aluminum for the rear trailing arms, and so I don't have any flex there, and so whenever I hit hard, it bashes against that aluminum and just snaps right there. So it's just torquing on the plastic, or it's torquing against the aluminum chassis arm or trailing arm, chassis link. There's different names people call it, but so anyway, I'm planning to go back to plastic for those until I can afford aluminum for all the whole rear end side of things. But that's what I've got here at the RC workbench here at CCxRC, and really excited to get this Losi 10 back out and on the track.